Hey everyone, I'm taking a break from reviewing the schlock I normally suffer through to discuss something that actually matters. Mob Psycho 100. Animated by the talented people over at Studio Bones and directed by Yuzuru Tachikawa, the director and original creator behind the phenomenal Death Parade, Mob Psycho 100 follows powerful Esper Shigeo Kageyama, also known as Mob, through his daily life as a student at Salt Middle School. Mob Psycho also happens to be the second anime adaptation of a work by the author One, and if you lived in a cave like a troglodyte for the past year, you would know that the first is obviously One Punch Man. If you're watching this video, you probably know what One Punch Man is. It was impossible not to be caught up in, or at least know about the massive amount of hype surrounding One Punch Man during its run. And I would admit, I was also aboard the One Punch Man hype train while it was in motion. Now, Mob isn't getting the same level of push Saitama did, however that doesn't discount Mob Psycho 100's quality. In my opinion, Mob Psycho is on the same level as One Punch Man, if not better. But going into Mob Psycho 100, I wasn't expecting a recreation of One Punch Man, and I know that might have initially turned some people away from watching Mob Psycho, but while watching it, I couldn't help but realize how different these two shows actually are. While One Punch Man is parodying a typical superpower type anime with an atypical protagonist who's almost completely defined by his power, Mob Psycho is more akin to a slice of life anime which follows a protagonist attempting to become independent of his power. Both Saitama and Mob are insanely overpowered characters in their respective universes, and both share apathetic style personalities. But where Saitama goes out to fight crime of his own volition, serving as a walking punchline to hilariously diffuse tension built up by a seemingly unstoppable foe, Mob sees his powers as more of a tool to do menial tasks or exercise spirits than as a weapon. He's opposed to violence and is more or less thrown into situations where he has to use his powers for defense, even if he doesn't want to. Being born with powerful psychic abilities, Mob's overall goal doesn't revolve around strengthening them or defeating any sort of antagonist. Instead, Mob tries to become less dependent on his powers during his day-to-day life, so he can improve himself in other ways so he can win the affections of his crush. Saitama, on the other hand, starts off as a regular person, having a dream to become a hero. By rigorously training every day, Saitama achieves his overwhelming power and the ability to become the hero he so desired, but at the cost of his excitement in life. So Saitama sought his dream, achieved it, and has become hollow because no one can even remotely match him, while Mob is still working towards his goal. Saitama and Mob also manage to take different positions when it comes to mentorship. In One Punch Man, Saitama acts as a mentor to Genos, a character that would be the main character in any other anime. He looks like a main character, his motivations parallel the motivations of an ordinary protagonist, and he doesn't hesitate to go overboard with detailing his tragic backstory every chance he gets. Genos instead plays a supporting role to Saitama, who's simply a hero for fun, and is completely indifferent to his role as mentor. In Mob Psycho, the situation is reversed. Mob is a student of Reigen. Reigen, for all intents and purposes, is a con man. He cheats people out of money by posing as a spiritual exorcist, but in reality he has as much psychic, or in this case spiritual ability, as a regular person. Ironically though, he mentors Mob with his psychic powers despite having no actual psychic abilities himself. However, Reigen is important to Mob's mentoring because he teaches Mob not to use his abilities on other people, imparting an ethical code unto Mob. So you can tell deep down Reigen is a good person, even though he takes advantage of Mob's psychic powers for his own personal gain. The pride he takes in Mob's upbringing as a psychic shows he really cares about his student and his role as a mentor. It really cements Reigen as an important character in the series, while the way he cons people provides a lot of the show's best humor. It appears Mob and his abilities are generally accepted by the people around him. If it isn't Reigen utilizing his psychic abilities for his business, it's the interest his classmates take in his abilities that makes Mob's existence as an Esper feel welcome. Even the confrontations towards the end of Mob Psycho stem from either envy of Mob's powers or their possible exploitation in an organization. In Saitama's case, his acts of heroism largely go unnoticed, and when he does start finally getting attention, it's mostly negative. He's thought of as a cheat when he starts climbing the hero ladder so quickly, and he even plays the patsy in some cases. It's a shame because only a handful of people actually recognize his power and appreciate the actions he does for society. Alright, so the last real thing I want to talk about is the art and animation of One Punch Man and Mob Psycho, because boy do they both showcase some spectacular animation. But that's no surprise coming from Studio Madhouse and Studio Bones respectively. Both studios did an excellent job in adapting the art styles of their respective sources, which definitely results in both shows having widely differentiating art styles. One Punch Man, starting off as a webcomic in 2009, was originally published and drawn by One himself, and to say One's art style is lacking would be putting it lightly. However, since then, One Punch Man has been re-released as a manga illustrated by Yusuke Murata, with better looking visuals the anime adheres to. Mob Psycho 100, however, hasn't received the same treatment, so the manga retains One's simpler art style. Mob Psycho uses this to its strength though. When most things nowadays have similar looking art styles, it's nice to see something that looks so strikingly different. It's like a breath of fresh air. While the general animation on display and the variety of different animation styles there are in Mob Psycho really shows off how talented the animators actually are. To sum up things, One Punch Man is fairly predictable. If you're wondering what will happen next, then all you have to do is refer back to the title. How is Saitama gonna defeat this opponent? Oh, that's right, with one punch. It's not really just about the destination, but the build-up and the moments leading to that punch that sends the villain into orbit, which makes One Punch Man so satisfying. While Mob Psycho details a journey with no clear destination, it's less predictable. In fact, there were moments that relatively took me by surprise because of the direction it took. I don't want to get into specifics because if you haven't watched Mob Psycho yet, then you should go watch Mob Psycho. It's fantastic. But there are some obvious things towards the end that completely contrast stuff in One Punch Man. But hey, if I missed anything, then you can let me know. Then again, maybe I'm looking a bit too much into it. Otherwise, the most crucial difference between Mob Psycho 100 and One Punch Man is Mob has hair and Saitama doesn't. Obviously. Hey, thanks for watching, and if you want to check out some more of my content, then you can check out some reviews where I dump on bad anime, like Big Order and Taboo Tattoo. But otherwise, stay tuned for more content.